There we go. And so this is the LaFosse Book 3, and we're going to do long tones the way I like to do long tones, and that is to play with as clear a sound as we can. We want to play this with the metronome and probably with a tuner on the stand, but most people struggle making their alternate positions as good a quality as their home positions. And so this gets us practicing with that clear sound, good rhythm, good articulation right off the bat, okay? And if you're just joining us on YouTube, we've already done our songs. If you want to know, it was, help me out here, guys. It was Schumann Opus 45. Is that right? Yeah, loved it. We've got a great Bryn Terfel recording of it. Talk to me if you wanted to join it. I actually got. The reason I didn't put that one live is because last week when we did our warm-up and I played, I think it was a Clara Schumann piece, I got dinged by copyright because I played a performance of Barbara Bonney doing that as part of the class. So we just got to play the game. That's the way it works. So you get to hear about it secondhand. If you're in TOBI, shameless plug here. You just jump on my website /TOBI, and you can join the club, and you get the PDFs, and you get the preamble, which is we've already been meeting for easily a half hour, just kind of talking through phrase technique and analyzing the performance that we listened to of Opus 45 of Schumann. Unfortunately, because of copyright, I can't do that on YouTube, can't broadcast it. So we're just going to jump right into the actual warm-up, which you missed the inspiring part. Always got to start being inspired, right? You cannot hope to be an inspiring musician if you do not start every practice session being inspired. So, all that said, now we're going to play, this is from LaFosse Book 3, and it's about getting a clear sound and playing our alternates in tune. I'm going to turn on a metronome. I want to do a sound check, and for my folks in TOBI on the Zoom club, I want to get a thumbs up that it's working correctly. All right, good. All right, let me turn on the metronome and we'll just jump right on in. If you're playing in YouTube land, the idea is that you would just play along with me. Of course, I realize this is just kind of out of the blue on Easter Sunday. Maybe you have family plans or you're just relaxing. But I encourage you the whole point of this is for you to just be inspired by me. Just play along with me. That's the way that I learned best especially when I was younger, was just playing along with my teacher. Be infected by their sound. We are, 48. If at any point you feel like you don't have a clear sound, just stop and buzz along with me on your rim. And then just join me on the next position. Okay? Ooh, that's nice and slow. Let's get some eighth notes going just for context. All right. Oh, sorry, that was probably pretty muted. Here we go. Starting right there in the middle. Here we go. 1, 2, ready? Man, I love that stuff. This is a great way to start your day. And the reason I like it so much is because it starts with you playing with a really nice, clear, focused, pretty sound. I think that it is good to kind of focus on that freedom of air, but I've noticed that sometimes focusing on freedom of air and sort of like overabundance of strength and technique, we end up being, practicing being athletes more than artists. And so, we can of course continue on with that. This is one of my favorite books. This is the LaFosse book 3, and some of my favorites are. Do I get to go on? So that's it. Yeah. So if we take this same style and technique, like I typically will cherry pick my way through this. What we do, let's see if I can do this. It's been several years since I've done this exercise, but the trick is on this is to get a clear sound all the way through. Okay, get a clear sound. Again, if you notice that you've got some schmutz in your sound or some fa right at the front of the note, fa, rim solves all that. Okay, what we're looking for is like perfect slide technique, no scoops and smears, right? We don't want a heavy bump either on any of this. And the idea is that we're going to play right with a metronome and have like really fantastic dynamics, articulation, pretty sound. All right, all we're doing is like, if we do this at piano, it should be pretty easy to do that. And the fact that we have a rim available to us to kind of clean up the buzz, if you got schmutz in your buzz, you know that you're playing too tight, right? Or with too much air, too little air. Change the mixture, change the rise of your tongue, change the tightness of your lips. Right? Go ahead and buzz a little bit and then just join me on the next phrase, okay? It should be easy, nice and fun, okay? Here we are. Let's go up to 52. Ooh, this is going to be good for me. Again, I haven't played this in a few years, so it might not be perfect. We'll have to see. All right? Can everybody see the music okay, I hope? Here we go. 2, ready? ended early. I'm gonna say, like, I finished that last note. I see people's horns in their laps. I'm like, what? Am I the only one trying here? What do you think about that one? I mean, I know it reasonably well. Obviously, it's been a couple of years since I played it, but it's still in my chops, right? Was that easy? Was that hard? I mean, it should be sort of deceptively hard if you're doing it right. Let me check the YouTube comments, but I'm really curious about my friends in TUBI. Like, what did you think about that?
To stay focused through some of the extremely soft, low stuff.
It was hard to stay focused in the extremely soft, low stuff, right? Of course, yeah. Like typically, that's where you get into some grain in the sound, some foof in the sound. Did you try buzzing on the rim for a phrase? Did that help?
Yeah, I mean, it's still hard, but it
Yeah,
helped.
it's not. There's also a matter of breath control, right? Is that what you were going to say, Stephen?
I was going to talk about how very rarely do we practice hairpins with
Mm.
moving lines in melodic content.
Very rarely do we practice our hairpins. That's true, and typically you'll see that in some of the sloshwork stuff. But you can see that, of course, in the next exercise. I'm not feeling that one. I'm going to be honest with you. I might this one. Ooh, this next one, number 5. This might be more of a challenge too. This is definitely going to be me putting my money where my mouth is. I I'm gonna do this, and I might delete the YouTube broadcast afterward if I screw it up too much. Um, but I definitely I want to like show you that like I'm trying to kind of like challenge myself as well as you. I think that I don't want it to be like you against your teacher. I want us to be like sort of both figuring out the trombone together, and for that, then obviously if I play for you and it's like, oh, Toby's got that figured out, like, okay, yeah, well, let's problem solve that. Let's make sure that you're figuring it out too. But if we both kind of like get to a place where like, oh, feeling kind of vulnerable, then maybe we can kind of come to the solution together. I think about that. Sometimes I wonder if that's correct, like a good way to do it, because like, when in episode 3, when like Anakin decides finally he's gonna go with Darth Sidious, and it's like we got to figure out this immortality thing, and Darth Sidious is like, oh yeah, that thing that I told you is a reason to come over to the dark side. Well, only one person has figured it out, but together I think we can figure out the secret. It's like that's the sometimes I wonder if I'm just being Darth Sidious to you, but yeah, let's figure out the secret together. um, Let me just make sure there's no burning questions in YouTube land here. Oh, the loud dynamics are coming out a little blasty in the YouTube. Oh, let's see what's going on here. Oh, that's because. All right, that should work. I'm going to play just a little sound check for YouTube. You let me know what this sounds like. If you wouldn't mind in YouTube land, just like pipe in that sounds fine or not. Um, Thank you, Nicholas. I believe in the Toby Institute. I think you should join the Toby Institute, but yeah. Oh, wow. Piping Coffee says, is he teaching a class right now? Laugh my ass off. Okay, well, whatever gets you across the street. That's cool. Okay. Dominican Republic. Yeah, the LaFosse method. Good. Okay, good. All right, so we got, good. Thanks, Atmar. I appreciate that. Okay, it's saying that it sounds good. Let's keep going. And again, this is me putting my money. No cheating, Anthony. You're moving ahead? Come on. All right, here we go. Let's see. Execute order 66. That's a little quick. Hey, let's go a little bit slower. for me. Okay. Nice, nice, comfy B major key. All right, let's see where this goes. All right. All right. Sound check. We're all good. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Yeah, that was mostly there. How'd that feel? Probably, if you're like me, that first time through, like I definitely remember that first time through thinking, man, I need to make sure I got my shift points figured out. Now that's one thing that I've been really relentless about in so far as talking you through a warm up, and as well your excerpts and your solos, is to identify the money note, right? So when you're playing, you sort of like you're going to do your shift before you land the note. Like, so you take a breath, you identify the money note, and the mouthpiece comes down sort of perfectly set for that money note. All right, you don't want to be stuck like low A embouchure when you have to play a high G, right? So like you might actually kind of hedge a little bit towards the high G so that you can play that G without a problem. That last phrase, of course, it went up to a high B from a low B. That 2-octave spread is a lot easier if I'm set optimally for that high B. Essentially, the problem then becomes how do you play a low B with a high B set, rather than trying to figure out how to play a high B with a low B set. So this happens a lot. I think it's made easier by the fact that much of the dynamics in this last exercise are piano, right? So the fact that they're piano kind of helps you to sort of like kind of sneak into things. The other thing that I want to point out is that in this exercise, you ascend and you do a diminuendo. That's typically the opposite of what we're doing musically. You must agree that like when you're playing a solo, when you're playing an excerpt, typically you're going to be crescendoing as you ascend to the upper register. That is significant in that it's easier to play in the upper register with faster air. It's actually more of a challenge to diminuendo as you go up. Google it. LaFosse, yeah, this is, I think that I mentioned this at the top of the class in the Google comments. People are wondering what method book this is. This is the LaFosse Book 3. LaFosse Book 3. It's published by LeDuc. Sometimes you can find it in PDF format. Maybe not easy to find it that way. So I recommend you buy the book, definitely. the question here from Ricardo Cabrera: how much are you aware of natural slurs when you're playing exercises like these? Like, as in, how much am I using them? I'm using them as much as possible. And so what I would coach you to do, this is advanced slide techniques, everybody. What you really want is that your natural slurs and your tongue slurs are imperceptibly different. And this was actually the topic of one of our Toby classes before. If you didn't see it, you can see it on the archive section of the members only site, right? When you log on there, the whole masterclass there, and there's actually, I think I did something like 30 handouts, 30 pages of handouts for you to apply to this, both with direction and then with etudes. So the idea is that your natural slurs and your tongue slurs are imperceptibly different. And if you're doing it correctly, this should be, something so practiced that it's intuitive. You don't really think about it. So the question is, how much are you aware of natural slurs? I'm using them as much as possible, but as far as I'm awareness of them, it's really not that significant. It's not that severe, only because they're so reliably usable. Most trombone players, their natural slurs are scoopy, smeary, bumps and bruises. And so a well-meaning teacher will say, you just need to tongue everything, because that's the only way that we're going to have a consistent legato from you. I'm using natural slurs as much as possible because it keeps my linear cantabile intact all the way through the line. What app am I using on my iPad is Fourscore. If you're not using it, you're behind. Get on it. Fourscore. Any advice about double buzzing in the high register? Yes. Come on, let's say it out loud. Rim. Use the rim. Okay? Use the rim. It's either going to be the rim or it's going to be the mouthpiece. Okay? This is for flow. This is for clearness of sound, right? If you want to fix the buzz, it's here. Make it as clear as you can, like a hum, right? If it's about breath flow, here. Okay? And if one doesn't work, you use the other one. Okay? Should we do some Toby lip slurs? I take the suggestion here from the Toby class. Anthony, we lost Stephen. Ken, you have any ideas? Something you're dying to play? Not particularly. Yeah, that was a long wait for classroom participation. I think we got some demerits for Gryffindor there. All right, my friends. I'm going to pull up the warm-up routine, which you can download from my site, and we're going to do this. I just feel so strongly about it. Actually, no. Let's stay with the LaFosse book, shall we? Buying Fourscore. Good job, Neil. So if I come back to the LaFosse book, we're going to do this exercise slowly, okay? What we're going to do is identify the money note. The money note being the top note, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to play each one of these lip slurs, and we're going to play the top note of each lip slur first. Okay, so in that half rest, like this half rest there, and then this half rest over here, what we're going to do is, in that moment, we're going to test the top note of the next phrase, okay? And that will be the embouchure that we start the next note with, okay? So, like, for example, the first one here, the top note is a D. So we play this D, just a test note, right? And then we take a breath with this top D setting over here, okay? And we play the exercise, right? Then we'll get the rest here. In that rest, we'll play this E, right? And then that position, that embouchure position, is where we start the B flat. I think it's B flat. Yeah, B flat. So it's E flat. Sorry about that. So, but you can see that it gets more and more complicated, right? Here we get reverse, right? But let's do it all from the top down. And you'll see that this is it sounds really complicated, but it's not. All right, my friends. Hi, Gianfranco from Italy. It's nice to see you. All right. All right, okay, so this might be a little bit tricky. Play along with me. I'm going to go slow. It should be pretty clear if you can see me well enough. I'm going to do like an up-down, or so it'd probably be a down-up, because I always play, here's your cue, like that. Okay, so that'll be the cue to come in, but in the interval in between each lip slur, we're going to test the top note. Okay, so we get used to that top note set, okay? That top note set is where we start the bottom note. We're eliminating the shift. Here we go. 2, ready? Oh, wait. If I'm being honest, this is a long phrase. So we have a high B flat. We should set for the high B flat for this long one, okay? Just help you out here. Here's another long one. You see that? So we have to play a high B flat. So that's what we're going to test with. We're going to start on this F here, right there. But we're going to be set for that B flat there. So test the B flat, and then we come in on the F. This next one, obviously, we have to play low. So let's figure that one out. Play the money note as the low note. Let's keep it low. All right, so that was probably a bit of a challenge to keep up. I mean, a lot of this is just you're trying to watch me and keep up, and maybe you're putting a priority on playing with me. The priority is that you learn the lesson here. The priority is that you learn the lesson. So, like, of course, maybe like take from me the inspiring, like the clearness in the sound, and I'm trying to teach you through the repetition of the method here. The method being like I'm finding the money note. That's typically the high note, like the high A, the high F, the high B flat, and I'm using that setting to start on a low note, right? The low note, the first note after a breath is typically what trombone players will do. They'll breathe for that perfect setting for the first note after the breath, realizing that the money note, the note that everybody cares about is probably in a different tessitura, typically past a shift point. And so what I'm saying is you can use this exercise to sort of like get used to setting for the money note instead of setting for the first note after the breath, which might be like having you nailing the crap out of a note that nobody cares about comparatively to the note that you really are worried about. Think about like the low A's in Mahler 3, right? Where if you set for the middle register and an upper shift point, then that low A is kind of a mierk, right? Maybe not your best sound. Right, and then of course the other one that I like to talk about is of course the high D in Zarathustra. If you nail the crap out of that low A in Zarathustra and you have on the high D, people may be less inclined to hire you, than if you play like a okay low A and just paste a high D because you're set perfectly for that. So in my warm up, I'm already starting to access that. Is there time for questions? What do we think?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How would you extend this warm-up or this exercise past, like, its, I guess, limitations, so, like, lower and higher? So Ken is asking about how, so Ken's in the class, and he's saying, how would you extend this? Of course, if you look on my website, I've got the extension kind of already there. The wicked slur, as it were, is the extension of it. You can also extend it with dynamics. A lot of the dynamics in this LaFosse exercise are pianissimo, right? So it would be kind of a challenge, of course, to extend the dynamics. And there's nothing stopping you from that. You start with what's written, but then, of course, extend the tessitura, right, to include higher and lower notes, right? So, if we're being honest, that's really simply in my warm-up routine, which is on my website in the free download section. If you go to my tobioff.com, the menu item, there's a free download page. Just go there, and it's not like I reinvented the wheel there, but the wicked slur is there, and some more challenging excerpts are there. Let's give it a go. Just because Ken asked the question, we're going to do this. Teacher, you forgot a test. There it is. I got it. Okay. So do this and that. That's easy enough. So this is from my website. This is what you can download. It's lip slur number 4. So you see that the range that you have to play is a, oh, you're not seeing this in YouTube land. Hang on a sec. Oh, no, you are. Okay, got it. Whew, that was close. So you can see here that you have to play up to a high D, but you're starting on a low B flat. So this would right there be an extension that you're asking for, right? Maybe we should play this. And again, we can use the same strategy, although it's far less complicated, right?
we're going to play the top D, or whatever that top D partial is, D, C sharp, C, whatever. That's where we do in between each lip slur, right? Play the top note, and then that's where you start the low B flat partial, okay? Like that. So I'll turn on the metronome so we can all start together. Maybe about 100. Just float through it. And again, if you feel like you're having trouble, I think that the rim actually will really help to kind of focus your embouchure for the upper register. Try to keep the sound supported, right? Lots of air in the upper register. We don't want to like squeeze on that top D. It should be like opening up like a flower. The tone should open up like a flower, okay? So again, we test the note, and then we take a breath and we play the exercise. There we go. Ready? And. Oh, this is a little slow. I need to take a deeper breath for that. All right, you with me on this one? Let's try the C sharp now. Not gonna lie to you, I'm running out of air. So we'll see how long this lasts. Here we go. Last one. I made it. Thank goodness I didn't embarrass myself. All right, so how did that feel? Does that help? Do you feel like that really helps? I want to hear about it because, like, I don't know, like when I figured this out, that each phrase, all you got to do is just identify the money note and set for that. It was a complete game changer. It was a paradigm shift. And like the place that I learned it, I'll be honest with you, just like telling you, like, because you showed up, it was the Do To You. The Do To You is like this beautiful, elegant beginning, like, you know, kind of like, I think there's a few French songs that start with this like beautiful sort of like languid melody, cantabile, right? And the thing is, it traversed a pretty wide range, and I felt like if I set for the first note after a breath, I was often unable to play with what I felt was a clear sound or an easy slur as I navigated this sort of like just warm honey kind of melody. And so I started to identify the money note of each phrase, and I started practicing it set for that. And I was like, whoa, now I can play the Do To You, right? But before I couldn't, or I didn't feel like I was playing it with the sound that I wanted. The sound would get grainy, or my slurs wouldn't be very good. So I started to apply this to other places, like my excerpts, like Zarathustra, Mahler 3 definitely, Hungarian March is another one. I wanted to get that like a nice beefy sound on that low octave. And so I would set my embouchure for the money note of the phrase rather than the first note after the breath. We all have shifts, and ideally you should like endeavor to keep those shifts like less and less and less and less movement. All that said, if you can spend your career trying to eliminate a shift and not get there, and in that time, job opportunities come and go. People don't really care if you're shifting. Trombone players care, but trombone players aren't going to be the ones that are giving you the big job. It's going to be conductors, and they care if you miss a note. They care if you play with a bad sound. So all that said, just set for the money note, and like over time, you'll need less and less of a shift, but this was something that really changed me, and I hope that it helps you the same way. Let's do the next lip slur. We all know this one, right? And we do the same strategy. In between each lip slur, all we got to do is play that top B flat, top A flat, right? And then we're learning how to play a pedal B flat with that top B flat set. Let's see here. Right about there. I think any slower and I start to run out of air, okay? That even might be too slow. You're at 155. All right, all you guys in YouTube land, you should be playing along with me. Don't be just spectating on this one, okay? I just gave you the keys to the kingdom here. You should be able to play this now, all right? All right, again, don't forget, we're going to test the top B flat and then breathe with me and we'll play the exercise. Ready? You know what? I need another go at this. This is not sounding very good. Let's start from the beginning, just for me, okay? I know you guys nailed the crap out of it. I did not. Let me try that again. There we go. I gotta be honest with you, I get so nervous playing that in front of you guys. I get so nervous playing that. Oh! All right, so that I'm literally sweating. It's like I was fine, and then suddenly I'm like, I can't breathe. It's really hot in here. I'm gonna go have a coffee. Class is over, right? I think we've done enough, right? No? All right, so that's how that goes. I encourage you, like, please use this. It's like, I think that this lip slur gets a bit of a, like, ooh, the wicked slur. Now that you know how it works, you can absolutely do this, okay? And it just doesn't matter. It's like a video game on the hardest level. You just like, it's not a matter of like having some special skill set or talent. It's just like sitting and doing each level and taking the time to do it, you know? You sit down with your Xbox, you're like, all right, this Halo is not gonna play itself. And you just like, you do it on Legendary, and then you've got that check mark next to your name. It's just like, sit down, figure it out, put the time in, that's all. All right, so we're getting close to a solid hour and a half here. I think I was gonna go teach a lesson in a short amount of time, right? So that said, I wanna give a little bit of time for questions, especially from the Toby class here. Is there any requests moving forward, something you would like to play? Absolutely, we can continue on with the warm-up routine. But right now, like, we got a good song out of the way, and we did some fantastic work on our lip slurs. We got the LaFosse book. If you don't have it, get it today. It changed my life. What do we think?
I have another question.
Go for it.
So regarding these lip slurs and regarding the setting for the money note, what do you think about doing it in both directions?
Yeah.
Setting for the high note.
Good. Yeah. So I did try to address this. Anthony is saying, setting for the money note. What do you think about setting it for both directions? And this is a really important thing to remember. This happens. I did recognize this happening in Mahler 3, where I was saying you're setting for the low set, right? But you're right in that much of my routines is all about setting for the high note and figuring out how to play a low note with a high note setting. You're right. You should be flipping it on its head. Absolutely. And one way that I'll practice that is to play my scales reverse. Like typically we start low and we go high. Do it the other way around. Okay? It's not that challenging. Like in fact, Ken was saying how do we expand this to include this is a great exercise. How do we expand this to include a wider range? There's nothing keeping you from doing that, right? You're going to a great music school. And you have the theory skills to kind of math this one out and say, well, what if I added an octave or just a fifth or transposed it down a fifth? You don't need me for that, right? And in fact, it's a good exercise. So yes, you should be doing it. And the practical application is not the exercises herein. Of course, it's Mahler 3. Of course, it's the do to you, right? In the do to you, you can think about those. There's many phrases, in fact, that start high and go low. Of course, you should be turning it on its head and doing it the other way around. Man, that would be. Oh crap. Yeah, let's talk about that. Can we invert the wicked slur? How hard would that be? It's out there. The idea is out there. Somebody's just got to write it down and then perform it. And then have the whole trombone community go, oh my God! Yeah? I just got a thumbs up in YouTube world. Meanwhile, my class is just kind of like...
It's really hard, turns out.
You just tried it. You put it on mute. That's what you were doing. You put it on mute to try it. All right, that's my project. There went my Sunday. The rest of my Sunday. Gonna figure that one out. You thought it was gonna be just like Easter eggs and candy, but no, it's going to be the wicked slur, which I don't want to figure out how to say backward. Yeah, all right. I'm getting crickets from YouTube world. I don't see any questions there. How did I get introduced to the LaFosse book from Quinn Parker? That was Mulcahy. Michael Mulcahy introduced that to me. I want to say that was like my third lesson at Northwestern. And he, in point of fact, I would be curious if he remembers this. I'd have to ask him. I want to show you we're not going to do it because it's scary. I want to show you his favorite exercise. At least what he told me was his favorite. Almost there. Stay on time. This one right here. It's fine as it's written, but then it starts to drop pretty low. And so essentially, if you can navigate this easily, you're going across multiple shift points. You need to figure out how to do this elegantly. And that was kind of I'd be curious what he would have to say about it now, but he presented this exercise like this one. I was like, oh gosh. And it was above my head then, and I haven't worked on it much since, which is my fault. Maybe that would be a good use of our time to kind of take a look at that one. Yeah. Great book. I think that's out of the Arbenz book. Yeah, I love this book so much. Anyways. Well, it seems like we're getting somewhat crickets from YouTube world, which is fine. I'm really glad that everybody showed up. I hope that it helped. Remember, let me give you a couple of plugs here. Okay, and they're not plugs for, I mean, it's kind of plug, hey, you know what, it's a good party. If you want to be in the Toby class, just go to my website, www.tobyoff.com/TOBI. We're having a party multiple times a week, group warm-ups, office hours, and subject classes. And the classes themselves are archived for you to access and just watch on demand with handouts on the members-only section. I hate selling it. I really hate the salesmanship that goes into it, but I will sell. I'm actually very proud of the body of work that we have between excerpts and solos that we've talked about insofar as like building your career, how to navigate freelancing, and how to get a college teaching job. All of these things are sort of subject-oriented masterclasses that are archived on my website, only for the members to see. So you might be looking at like a $45 a month subscription package, but the sheer amount of hours of classes on there, it makes it worth it, let alone the handouts and sort of like example sets that I put a lot of my own playing out there, only available to the members of Toby, and you can't access it anywhere else. So if you're into it, I think it could really help you, and I would love to have you as a part of it. But all that said, what I want to impress on all of you in the trombone community is to be pragmatists. Much of what we're doing here is technique through music. And this is how John Swallow taught me most effectively, and it was a game changer for me in that so much of the idealism that we deal with in the trombone world is lacking in music. The technique of how your embouchure works, how the tongue moves, and how you move the air seems to be divorced very effectively from a musical goal. And that's much of what I'm trying to get you towards. In fact, my teaching philosophy is to start with a song that is musically inspiring and then not worry, let's just like not talk about technique or anything like this, just like play it, see how close we can get, and then use that to inform our long tones, right? We're trying to play with that sort of compelling sound. Use that to inform our lip slurs, use that to inform our articulation, that we don't become sort of like industrial mechanics, and instead we have an artistic purpose. This is the philosophy that I tend to teach, and it's how the way that I got there, I'm going to tell you honestly, was the auditions, the orchestral audition world. In orchestral auditions, and I've said this before, I'm just going to reiterate it, you can use this culture of auditions can inform your practice strategy. If you're talking about getting out of the first round of an audition, it's the 3 T's: time, tune, tone. You could spend all of your college career just focusing on reliable rhythm, good pitch, and a good tone quality. Most trombone players, I hate to say it, 90% of trombone players cannot do this. On your excerpts, on your solos, on your warm-up routine, time, tune, tone. It's so important. And yet it goes hand in hand with musicianship, right? If you were just focusing on the 3 T's, it's not necessarily a waste of time, but your soul, your musical soul is not helped. So you have to include inspiring musicianship. Now, if you think about the orchestral audition, you have the first round. Everybody needs to get out of the first round having the 3 T's intact: time, tune, tone. But you get to the second round of any audition, and everybody there in the second round can play reliably well with the 3 T's. And how do you distinguish who's the person that gets to move on? It's the person that plays with inspiring musicianship. How do you practice inspiring musicianship? You must always be inspired. In your practicing, your musicianship must always have that inspirational quotient, and you cannot hope to be an inspiring musician unless you daily inspire yourself with great musicianship. That's why you always start with listening. Okay? So then the last one is what? Adaptable musicianship. The last round, assuming that everybody there, there are like 3 or 5 people in the last round of any audition, we're talking about finals, they can play reliably well with their rhythm, pitch, and tone quality. Time, tune, tone is fine. They're all inspiring musicians. How do you decide who wins? It's the person who's adaptable. All right? The adaptable musicianship is the final quotient, and that's the thing that has the conductor saying, hey, that sounds great, play it different. Or you have to intuitively figure out how to match the phrase artistry around you. Like first trumpet is playing different than you play by default, and that's where your adaptable musicianship comes in. Ideally, when you're practicing, in your warm-up, in your technique, and in your solo study, you're practicing all of these things simultaneously. Time, tune, tone, inspiring musicianship, and adaptable musicianship. adaptable to the room, adaptable to the accompanist, adaptable to the ensemble, right? Inspiring musicianship, you are prepared, you have experience being exciting with your artistry, right? And all of that is built on a structure of the 3 T's, okay? This is how I teach, and this is essentially informs every agenda that I have to do with my students, and in fact my own practice, and that's sort of like me trying to figure out trombone with my students as well. So if this is something that you're into, then you should be in this class, TOBI, on my website, /TOBI. I want to see you there. And if not, I'm glad that you showed up, and I hope that you were inspired today in the YouTube world. So happy holidays, as it were. I don't want to presume that we're all celebrating Easter, but I know that many people are. And at this point, I'm going to wish you well, happy practicing, and I hope that you are safe and that you stay inspired. So have a good Sunday, have a good week. I'll see you later.